Welcome back, true believers and all you spectacular Spidey fans, to another very exciting episode of Marvel's Spider-Man 2 101. And I know this is quite a shock, but yes, we actually do have some legitimate news to talk about for Marvel's Spider-Man 2, instead of any type of rumor or potential leak that is surrounding this game. Because while we're all still under the assumption that we might be seeing a PlayStation showcase by the end of this month in May, which might potentially showcase more gameplay for Marvel's Spider-Man 2, none of that has been officially confirmed by anyone over at Sony, Marvel, or Insomniac just yet. Well, luckily for us, Insomniac finally took notice that we have been dying of thirst for any type of Marvel's Spider-Man 2 news, and they finally decided to give us something pretty darn interesting. Where Insomniac, Marvel, and PlayStation went on to officially reveal a prequel tie-in comic that will directly connect to the events of Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Where Insomniac themselves went on Twitter to state, "We're celebrating #Free Comic Book Day with a Marvel Spider-Man 2 prequel comic, available at participating US retailers on May 6th and later digitally. And as a bonus, Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered for the PS5 will be available to purchase separately later this month." So there's actually quite a lot to unpack here relating to the details for this prequel comic for Marvel's Spider-Man 2. And it's simply awesome in general that we're going to be receiving more tie-in comics relating to Insomniac's Spider-Man franchise, just like what we previously saw with the City at War tie-in comics, as well as the two other follow-up comic book series with Marvel's Spider-Man The Black Cat Strikes and Marvel's Spider-Man Velocity. Which, by the way, all of those are fantastic comic book reads that add even more depth to the Insomniac Spider-Man universe. So I definitely recommend that you read them for yourselves if you haven't already. But before we get into the nitty-gritty as to what exactly is included within this prequel tie-in comic, we're actually going to work backwards this time and start off with the news relating to the separate standalone release of Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered. Whereas it was written by the narrative director himself at Insomniac Games of John Paquette, he went on to break down that we know you've all been patiently waiting for news on Marvel's Spider-Man 2, and we thank you for hanging in there with us. Today, we have one more piece of news: a standalone release of Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered on PS5 console. Later this month, Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered will become available for a standalone purchase on the PlayStation Store. This title was previously only included as part of the Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales Ultimate Edition, but this time around, PlayStation has revealed a complete upgrade plan included for the remaster in case you still own the PS4 version of the game. Whether you have the disc or a digital copy of the PS4 version of Marvel Spider-Man, you will be able to upgrade to the PS5 remaster for only $10. However, if you happen to be someone who, for some reason, hasn't yet played Marvel Spider-Man PS4 or Marvel Spider-Man Remastered at all, you can simply buy the PS5 remaster by itself for a total of $50, which is a great way for Insomniac to promote their previous Insomniac Spider-Man titles before the mainline launch of Marvel Spider-Man 2, which is still set to fully come out later this fall. Now, moving back to the comic book, despite it simply being a prequel story for Marvel Spider-Man 2, there is actually quite a lot of world building that is going on within the narrative of this comic. This doesn't just relate to fleshing out the world that Marvel Spider-Man is set in, but also directly teasing at certain elements that could be featured in the game itself. And after reading the synopsis for this comic, I for one have become 10 times more excited. Whereas this was officially uploaded on the Marvel website, we do know that this is a prequel comic for Marvel Spider-Man 2 that takes place shortly after the events of Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, specifically focusing on Peter, Miles, and MJ and showing what they've been up to since then. Whereas it goes on to describe, when the story opens, MJ and Peter are back from Symkaria, and MJ has just finished her first book, Perilous, a journey into war-torn Symkaria. But unfortunately, sales aren't going well, and she's been forced to go on J. Jonah Jameson's Just the Fact podcast to try and drum up support for her book. As their ideologies clash and the interview starts to go south, the Spider-Men literally crash the interview while fighting the Tarantula, which is a familiar face from Spider-Geddon number 0. Miles and Peter wrap up the Tarantula, which also wraps up MJ's disastrous interview. As the story continues, we see several worlds colliding in the lives of Miles, Peter, and MJ, where Miles, who is now a student at Brooklyn Visions Academy, sees all his friends solidify solidifying their plans for college. But he is feeling left out. He's been so focused on other things. He hasn't had time to think about the future. There are plenty of directions he could go, but trying to pick the right one is overwhelming and paralyzing. Meanwhile, Peter is back in Queens, living in the house he grew up in, but he's drowning in bills. May had mortgaged the house to keep Feast running during the events of Marvel's Spider-Man, and now Peter is left with the responsibility of finding a new job in order to make the payments. MJ would make a perfect housemate to help with the mortgage, but she needs to stay in the city for her job as an associate editor at the Daily Bugle. At least that's what she tells Peter, since there is unspoken tension between them as both struggle to take the next step in their relationship. On top of all that, there's a new gang in town, and they appear to be using magic. Our heroes work together to track down and confront members of this gang, using their superpowers to uncover the gang's leader, the Hood. This new supervillain appears to have supernatural abilities that defy mere webs and fists. While Miles, Peter, and MJ attempt to balance their responsibilities to the city and each other, they keep coming back to one of the main themes of this action-packed issue. Is magic real? So not only does the synopsis of this comic make it sound like it's gonna be one heck of a story to read through, but we also have an official confirmation of another character that exists within the canon of the Marvel Spider-Man universe of the Hood, who, if you don't know, is a pretty deep-cut Marvel villain, but he does focus more in the supernatural area within the Marvel universe, where his background specifically indicates that upon stealing a demonic cloak and a pair of boots, Parker Robbins went from common criminal to supervillain. As the Hood, he rises in the ranks to become one of the most dangerous threats on Earth. Now granted, we probably won't see the Hood himself appear within the main game of Marvel's Spider-Man 2 since this is merely a prequel comic, but it's great to see the world of Marvel's Spider-Man 2 be fleshed out even further within the narrative of this comic in general. And speaking of the narrative, even though it was directly indicated within the context of the Miles Morales game, we now have double confirmation that Peter has once again moved back into Aunt May's house, who originally lived in Queens, which will more than likely be a fully explorable region in the Marvel Spider-Man 2 game overall. And the same logic goes for Miles Morales, who is currently attending Brooklyn Visions Academy. So being able to fully explore within the regions of Brooklyn and Queens, alongside of the main island of Manhattan, would easily make Marvel Spider-Man 2 the biggest open-world Spider-Man game to ever be made, which in my opinion is 1000% achievable considering that this is going to be a fully PS5 exclusive title. And allowing Insomniac to take full advantage of the next-gen hardware in this way is easily going to make this a standout title for the PlayStation 5 as a whole. In the end, everybody, even though this might be shocking to say, this is easily the most amount of information that we have received about Marvel Spider-Man 2 ever since its reveal trailer in September of 2021. But considering that we're finally starting to see an uptick within the marketing of Marvel Spider-Man 2, I can only hope that means the rumors of a PS showcase occurring by the end of this month in May will hopefully turn out to be true one way or another. But with all that said, everybody, that's the video I have for you today, and please let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. What do you think of this brand new prequel tie-in comic for Marvel Spider-Man 2, as well as the standalone release of Marvel Spider-Man Remastered on the PS5? And out of everything that is described so far for the comic, which thing are you looking forward to reading more about the most? Is it the Hood, Peter and Miles' relationship as Spider-Man, more details about MJ, or anything else that was featured in this article? Let me know what you think. Be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you did enjoy, and for more Marvel Spider-Man 2 videos like this in the future. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay spectacular, Spidey fans, and until next time, peace out.